There is a great New York Times bestseller book called The Psychology of Money. It explores why some people are successful with money while others are not. In this book, there was a memorable story about a frugal man named Ronald Reed. He worked as a gas station attendant and janitor for most of his life. Despite his modest wage, when he passed away at the age of 92, people were stunned to learn that he had amassed over $8 million in savings and investments. Ronald Reed sounds almost Chinese because stashing away money quietly is practically a Chinese superpower, and it's one that I've learned to wield myself. This video, I'm going to share the exact money habits and strategies that I use for my personal finance. But this is not financial advice, just a personal reflection on my successes and failures. My name is Alan. I'm made in China, and like most Chinese people, I'm obsessed with money. When I was 23, I started living by myself with around $30,000 in the bank and no student debt. In retrospect, that is a huge advantage gifted to me by my parents. But when you're living in a city like San Francisco where renting a tiny studio costs over $2,000 a month, 30K doesn't last very long. So I started doing all this research and trying hundreds of different methods to make my money last longer. Fast forward 10 years, I'm 33 now. I summed up the balance on all my accounts recently and realized I hit the $1 million milestone in savings. It's not 8 million, but theoretically speaking, if I just keep applying the same methods I've been using to save 1 million every 10 years, then in 60 years when I'm 92, I will have 7 million. I consider that a win. So let's get to it. Method number 1 is to check your balance every day. My Chinese dad once said his greatest passion in life is counting stacks of dollar bills. I am a modern version of my dad. On any given day, I can tell you exactly how much money is left in each of my online checking accounts. Yes, I have multiple. And yes, that is a stupid mistake because you only really need 1 or 2 at most. The second method is to check your credit card balance every day and to make sure that the amount you spend never even comes close to exceeding balance on your checking accounts. I set all of my credit cards on autopay, and the amount of money I keep in my checking account is a 6 times multiple of my average monthly spending. So if I spend $3,000 a month on average, then I will have $18,000 in my checking account at all times. If a 6 times multiple is too much, I aim for a 3 times multiple. Having any multiple is super important because we all do stupid things sometimes, like I spent $2,000 on food last month. If I just committed to cooking rice every day like a proper Chinese, I could have gotten away with 200. We don't want these mistakes to accidentally put us in credit card debt. In fact, credit cards themselves might be a mistake. Debit cards are better, but you can still run into a problem with overdraft fees. This 6 times multiple amount is what I call an emergency fund. Method number 3 is to put your emergency fund in an interesting bearing account. I currently use Cash App, which as of July 2025 gives me a 4% interest rate when I direct deposit into it. That means my $18,000 emergency fund will earn me an extra $720 to spend every year. The next few methods are about never spending on stupid things. When I say stupid, I really mean large purchases that I am too stupid to appreciate. Number 4, never upgrade your car. Number 5, never go to sporting events that cost over $200. Number 6, never go to concerts that cost over $300. Number 7, never buy trendy toys that cost over $400. And number 8, never buy clothing items that cost over $500. And it's only human nature to make mistakes in each and every one of these categories. For example, I drive a white Mercedes, and that's a terrible financial choice. I have to pay for premium gas at the pumps. But what's done is done. Try to make up for it. Never take my car into the dealership. Instead, a German uncle who lives around the corner helps me service my car for a fraction of the price. Another example, I have on occasion spent over $200 to go watch a hockey game. One of my best friends wanted to go and I caved into peer pressure. But something like that happens maybe once every 5 years. Because if somebody is truly into sports, chances are we're not friends. Moving on, method number 9 is about taking the money you would have spent on stupid things and spend it on money-generating assets instead. Whenever I feel tempted to buy something, I would ask myself a simple binary question. Sabrina Carpenter concert tickets or 3 shares of Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire, Labubu doll or gold ETFs. Gold, fancy wedding dress for my fiance for $5,000 or a fraction of a Bitcoin. Bitcoin. Method number 10 is to keep asking for a raise. My first job in San Francisco paid me $65,000 a year. I asked for a raise 6 months later. She said no, so I quit. I interviewed for 2 whole months before I found a new position that finally agreed to pay me $98,000 a year. I kept doing this every single year and managed to raise my base salary to $238,000 10 years later. I do want to acknowledge that this is very specific to software engineering, but anyone should try to keep doing this on a schedule and go as high as you can possibly go. I often ask myself is, if I didn't major in computer science, what would I be doing with my life instead? And the answer I keep coming back to is, if I ever found out that the software engineering industry can't afford to keep giving raises like this, I would probably just end up back in school to train in computer science so I can switch to software a few years later. I'm too stupidly Chinese to enjoy alternative realities. Method number 11 is to cancel subscriptions religiously. When you check your credit card transactions every day, you become hyper aware of these insidious background purchases. As soon as I see a charge and it's for something I haven't used in 2 weeks, I cancel it. I only have 4 active subscriptions on my phone, and you can see that I've already canceled one of them. All the other ones I use pretty much every day. I don't have any TV subscriptions right now, but if I wanted to watch a specific show, I would subscribe to HBO or Netflix for a single month and then cancel it. In fact, I immediately cancel the same time as I subscribe, because I still get the rest of the month afterwards. Honestly, I don't even watch a lot of TV anymore because it is counterproductive to method number 12, which is to lose fat. Chinese people are culturally biased towards being skinny, but we're actually very bad at losing fat because food in China is so cheap and abundant and delicious. It's different here in America. Food is so expensive here. But if you focus on losing fat, which means eating less, choosing to exercise instead of watching TV, and sleeping more, it's a triple whammy act that helps you save loads of money. I don't actually recommend cutting TV and videos out of your life altogether. Method number 13 is to seek out financial education, and there is so much free quality content on YouTube. If you wanted a more immersive experience, reading books like The Psychology of Money is even better. Or you can look at book reviews on YouTube and have the algorithm recommend even more quality books to you. Remember, knowledge is money. The more knowledge, the better. However, there can be too much of a good thing. Watching more and more videos on TikTok and Instagram is just gonna turn your brain into sloshy mush. Method number 14 is a slogan I use to protect myself. Every act of learning should be paired with a prolonged period of labor. Whenever I learn something new these days, I try to incorporate it into my life so that it becomes a habit. My most recent money lesson is about diversification. Back in 2021, I got super lucky with a single stock investment. It doubled my net worth from 300K to 600K. But this single stock became 80% of my net worth. I knew at the time it would have been a good opportunity to sell some off and diversify so I don't put all my eggs in one basket. But I didn't apply the knowledge. And in 2022, the stock market crashed and I lost over 200K, and it's the most amount of money I've ever lost. Information is useless if you don't apply it. These days, I check my net worth almost every single week. If I get lucky again and one of my stocks gains over 100K in value, like my recent investment in Circle, I immediately start executing on an exit plan to keep my diversification in balance. The moral of the story is, don't just focus on learning new things. You have to keep applying what you've already learned. Put your eggs in 5 baskets. Method number 15 is to think long term. Talk to your parents and find out how much they used to pay for things 20 years ago. Everything costs more these days because our dollars are designed to inflate over time. Fortunately, putting your money into the S&P 500 index fund has proven to beat inflation over the past 30 years. Bitcoin has also beat inflation for the past 15 years. Just saving money in dollars isn't enough. If you want your dollars to retain their buying power, we have no choice but to partake in investments. Even with these 15-year and 30-year data points that shows what a good investment is, on any given year, you might still lose a lot of money. The S&P 500 tanked by 20% in 2022, and I lost 200K. That's the nature of risk. You can be the most careful person with the greatest strategy, you might still get into a car accident. And all you can do is to take a deep breath, call insurance, and move on with life. Method number 16 is about buying insurance. No matter how well you're doing in life, you still have a chance of losing it all. Even diversification can't save your house from burning down or flooding when global warming strikes. I spend a lot of time thinking about how to insure against bad luck. I know not everyone can afford insurance, but it should definitely be on the top of your mind to get as soon as you can. There are even ways to insure your stock investments. Method number 17 is to stay on good terms with your family. If you hate your family, maybe move to a country with a reliable social safety net. family or family-like people is the ultimate form of insurance. It's never shameful to ask for help when you truly need it. Chinese people are extra loyal to their family, sometimes at a detriment to their individualism, but as the saying goes, the lone wolf dies while the pack survives. Method number 18 is to endlessly prepare for the collapse of the US dollar. The Chinese deeply understand this because they don't like America very much. But the rest of us shouldn't just brush it off either. When we look back on history, there is a clear track record of empires crumbling every few centuries. And I think it is practical for a civilian to consider just how fragile America can be, given that it's already been a few centuries. Even though most of my assets are in American dollars, American stocks, American real estate, I have slowly accumulated Bitcoin over the years as an insurance policy. As of 2025, over 20% of my assets are in Bitcoin, and I plan to reach 40% by the end of the decade. Just as how you're limited in how much you can do to prevent the collapse of America, you're equally limited in how much you can do to prevent the rise of artificial intelligence. As a software engineer, I think AI is scary. Even if it doesn't take all of our jobs, it can take a significant portion of our jobs. Method number 19 is to protect your job security by honing in on your physical skills. A worker who can use AI for virtual work but can also make things happen in physical reality is much less likely to be fired. I should really make a whole video on this, so let me know in the comments if you're interested. The last method is to adopt a Buddhist stance of acceptance. Earning money is fun and it solves a lot of problems in life, but it also creates new problems. Specifically, when you focus on money, you naturally have less time for doing other things in life. People with money often spend an unreasonable amount of time running their business, working their job, checking their bank accounts. Good life is ultimately about balance. At this point, I think it's fair to say that I spend way too much time checking my bank accounts, and I don't spend enough time unplugged and enjoying the real world. If I can't buy peace of mind with the money I save, then the money is not effective. Not all money is made equal. There is stupid money and there is effective money. And you have to figure out how to make stupid money more effective. That's also a topic for another video. So many ideas. I hope you found these 20 methods interesting. I think I'm gonna go enjoy the real world for a little bit now. So I'll catch you guys next time. Toshi, let's go.